Ancient builders lifted stones heavier than modern battle tanks with tools we consider primitive. This video explores 30 megalithic structures that defy everything we think we know about early human technology. By the end, you will see a hidden pattern connecting these global wonders, a pattern that could rewrite our understanding of history itself. How did cultures across the world achieve such impossible precision, and what forgotten knowledge does their shared mastery of stone reveal? The journey ahead will challenge the official story at every turn, from a single man's secret in Florida to a temple platform in Lebanon built with 1,000-ton blocks. What does our inability to explain these feats say about the true story of human innovation? The true puzzle begins not with the size of the stones alone, but with the perfect storm of challenges each site presents. To call these structures impossible is not hyperbole. It is a statement of a genuine, unresolved conflict between what we see and what we believe was possible. It is the point where four distinct lines of extreme difficulty intersect. First is the staggering scale and weight, moving masses that would challenge our best modern machinery. Second is the surgical precision in their shaping and joining, achieving fits and surfaces that seem machined. Third is the immense logistical nightmare of transporting these monoliths across vast, often treacherous distances. And fourth is the sophisticated knowledge embedded within them, from celestial alignments to earthquake-resistant designs. When you find a single block weighing as much as 500 cars, cut with laser-like accuracy, hauled from a quarry over rugged mountains, and positioned to capture the sunrise on a specific day, you are no longer looking at simple construction. You are looking at a message in stone, one that our standard history books struggle to translate. The tools we typically assign to these eras, copper chisels, stone hammers, and ropes of fiber, seem utterly inadequate for such a task. This glaring gap between the artifact and the accepted toolkit is the heart of the mystery. It forces a simple, profound question. Did these cultures possess a forgotten technology, or are we fundamentally misunderstanding the capabilities of our ancestors? As we journey from one impossible site to the next, hold this question close, for the pattern that emerges may point to an answer far more surprising than either. That canvas of global mystery is not painted with a single brush. The stones themselves whisper of different hands, different cultures, yet they speak a strangely similar language of engineering. In the high Andes of Peru, you find walls of polygonal stone, each block a unique, irregular puzzle piece locked with its neighbors without a trace of mortar. Across the ocean, on a wind-swept plain in England, a ring of towering sarsen stones stands aligned with the solstices. Far to the east, in the jungles of Cambodia, the temples of Angkor Wat rise with sandstone blocks so precisely joined that even a blade of grass cannot slip between them. And beneath the waters off the coast of Japan, enigmatic stepped platforms suggest a legacy submerged by time and tide. These sites are separated by thousands of miles and often thousands of years. They bear no obvious cultural link, no evidence of trade routes that could explain a transfer of such specific, monumental skill. This is the profound puzzle. If these were isolated incidents, we might dismiss them as incredible flukes, the products of singular genius. But their sheer number and global distribution make that explanation feel incomplete. It forces us to consider two equally staggering possibilities. The first is a forgotten diffusion, a lost chapter where a foundational knowledge of megalithic science was carried across the world by ancient seafarers or a precursor civilization, its origin now erased. The second is perhaps even more thought-provoking, that multiple cultures entirely independently arrived at nearly identical solutions for moving and shaping mountains. They each looked at 100-ton stone and, with the tools we attribute to them, devised a way to make it float across the landscape and fit like a glove. Both ideas challenge our linear view of human progress. They suggest a depth to ancient understanding that we are only now, with our satellites and lasers, beginning to measure. This widespread phenomenon forms the essential backdrop for our journey, as we explore each of the 30 structures, from the most famous to the utterly obscure. We are not just checking items off a list. We are looking for echoes in the stone, for repeated patterns in precision, in logistics, in astronomical intent, that might hint at a common source or a common human capacity we have since forgotten. The true story is written in this global comparison, a silent conversation between monuments that never should have been able to speak to one another. This careful curation is what separates a simple list from a meaningful investigation. To build our journey through 30 of the world's most baffling structures, we did not simply gather the biggest or oldest stones. We applied a filter, a set of clear criteria designed to isolate the true anomalies from the merely ancient. Every site you will encounter presents a unique and quantifiable puzzle that actively challenges the conventional narrative. The first criterion is the unprecedented scale and weight of individual blocks, stones so massive their movement seems to defy the physics of simple leverage and manpower. The second is the evidence of transportation over what should have been impossible terrain, across rivers, up mountains, or over distances that stagger the imagination. The third is a level of precision in hard stone that resembles machining, with seamless joints, perfectly flat surfaces, and intricate details that copper tools should not be able to produce. And the fourth is the incorporation of advanced knowledge, from complex mathematics and celestial alignments to architectural designs that demonstrate an understanding of forces we only mastered millennia later. We prioritize places where the gap between the toolkit archaeologists have found and the artifact they are asked to explain is widest and most glaring. These are the sites that generate the most honest and fascinating admissions from researchers, a respectful acknowledgement that the full story is not yet written. This methodology ensures our journey is not about mystery for mystery's sake, but a focused exploration of the most provocative evidence, the stones that most stubbornly refuse to whisper their secrets. They stand as silent, monumental questions, and it is time we listened more closely. Our journey begins at a place where the sheer mass of stone defies belief. In the Bekaa Valley of Lebanon, the ruins of the Roman Temple of Jupiter stand as a testament to imperial ambition, yet the true wonder lies beneath their feet. The temple's grand platform is built upon a foundation of colossal limestone blocks known as the Trilithon. Each of these 3 stones is a behemoth, stretching over 60 feet in length and weighing an estimated 800 tons. To put that into a modern perspective, each block equals the weight of 2 fully loaded Boeing 747 jetliners. The Romans, master builders in their own right, did not create this base. They found it and they built upon it, recognizing a foundation of such stability and scale that it could support their own architectural dreams. The mystery deepens just under a mile away at the quarry. There, still partially attached to the bedrock, rests the stone of the pregnant woman, a single block of limestone estimated to weigh over 1,000 tons. It is the largest known worked stone from the ancient world. The logistical puzzle here is staggering. How do you detach a block of that size from solid rock? How do you then transport it, not across a flat plain, but over uneven terrain, and lift it precisely into position to form a seamless foundation wall? The standard explanations of rollers, levers, and vast teams of workers strain under the weight of the problem. Even with our most powerful modern cranes and transporters, moving a 1,000-ton block would be a carefully orchestrated engineering feat. The precision of the Trilithon's placement adds another layer of intrigue. The blocks are fitted together so tightly that the joints are virtually invisible, creating a foundation of immense strength that has withstood earthquakes for millennia. This was not crude stacking, this was high-precision engineering executed on a gargantuan scale. So who were the original builders, and what knowledge did they possess that allowed them to treat 100-ton stones like mere building bricks? The Romans left us records, but these earlier architects left only their work, a silent, monumental question carved in limestone. The platform at Baalbek stands as our first, and perhaps most physically overwhelming, piece of evidence that the story of ancient construction is missing crucial chapters. From the colossal weight of Baalbek, we travel to the high Andes, where the mystery shifts from sheer mass to impossible precision. The fortress of Sacsayhuamán stands on a plateau overlooking the ancient Inca capital of Cusco. Its most famous feature is a series of 3 zigzagging walls, built as a formidable defensive barrier. The stones used here are enormous, with some limestone and andesite blocks weighing well over 100 tons. Yet the real wonder is not their size but their shape. Each block is a unique, irregular polygon with anywhere from 12 to over 30 sides. They fit together in a sprawling, 3-dimensional jigsaw puzzle of staggering complexity, assembled without a single drop of mortar. The joints between these giant stones are so meticulously crafted that for centuries, people have said not even a blade of grass can slip through the seams. This is not poetic exaggeration. It is a testament to a level of stonemasonry that seems to belong to a different age entirely. The shaping of these hard stones, especially the andesite, which is notoriously difficult to work, into such precise, curved interfaces presents a profound puzzle. A common explanation involves stone hammers and patient abrasion, but this fails to account for the perfection of the fit. How do you carve a concave depression in 100-ton block to perfectly receive the convex bulge of its neighbor using only primitive tools? The result is far more than an artistic achievement. It is a masterpiece of seismic engineering. This interlocking polygonal design gives the walls incredible flexibility and strength, allowing them to sway and settle during earthquakes without collapsing. The structure has withstood centuries of powerful tremors that have leveled modern buildings in the region, a silent proof of its builders' sophisticated understanding of forces. This raises a compelling question: were the Inca masters of a lost stone shaping technology, or did they inherit and perfect a knowledge far older? The walls of Sacsayhuamán stand not just as a fortress, but as a resilient, stone-coded lesson in physics, one we are still learning to read. But what happens when you find the scattered pieces of a technology that looks utterly out of place in time? In the high plains of Bolivia, the ruins of Puma Punku present a scene not of gradual decay, but of sudden, incomprehensible shattering. The site is a sprawling field of andesite and granite blocks, each one looking less like a hand-carved monument and more like a component from a machine. This is not architecture as we understand it from the ancient world. It is precision engineering frozen in stone and then violently dismantled. The blocks are cut with razor-sharp, perfect right angles and flawlessly flat surfaces that would challenge a modern mason with diamond-tipped tools. Many feature intricate geometric channels, precise notches, and drill holes that run perfectly straight through the hard stone. Then there are the famous H-blocks, stone slabs with a series of complex, identical cutouts forming a repeating H pattern. These are not decorative, they are modular, as if designed to interlock with other components in a larger, unknown assembly. The consistency of these shapes is the real shock. Each cutout is a perfect mirror of the next, suggesting the use of a template or a guiding technology that eliminated human error. Working andesite and granite to this standard with simple hammerstones or copper tools is not just difficult, it is arguably impossible to achieve at this scale and perfection. The site's condition deepens the enigma. Puma Punku does not look abandoned, it looks exploded. Multi-ton blocks are strewn about as if by a colossal force, with some of the largest slabs tossed on top of one another in chaotic heaps. This state of apparent catastrophic destruction hints at a sudden, violent event that ended a highly advanced building phase. Was it a natural disaster of unimaginable power or something else entirely? The result is an archaeological paradox, a collection of the world's most precisely crafted stonework lying in utter ruin. Puma Punku feels like a blueprint for a civilization we do not recognize, a single, cryptic page torn from a much larger manual and scattered by the winds of time. The enigma of Puma Punku leaves us with scattered precision, but our next structure presents a mystery of breathtaking, intact perfection. The Great Pyramid of Giza is so familiar its true strangeness has been worn smooth by centuries of awe. We know it is massive, but the real impossibility lies in the details, a symphony of precision performed on a scale that still humbles modern engineering. Its four sides are aligned to the cardinal points with an accuracy that seems to defy the era, matching true north with an error of just 3/60ths of a degree. To achieve this, the builders would have needed a profound understanding of astronomy and geometry, far beyond what we typically attribute to a society using copper tools and ropes. The pyramid's base, covering over 13 acres, is leveled to within an inch across its entire expanse, a feat of surveying that would be challenging even with today's laser technology. Then there is the stone itself. While the outer casing is gone, the inner chambers reveal a mastery over the hardest materials. The king's chamber is built from immense blocks of red granite, a stone so tough it ranks high on the scale of hardness. Yet these blocks were cut, shaped, and finished with surfaces so smooth they appear polished. Even more telling are the so-called sarcophagus inside, carved from a single block of the same granite. Its interior corners are perfectly square, and the precision of its hollowing out suggests the use of saws and drills with remarkable cutting power, tools that have never been found. The logistical story is equally staggering, involving an estimated 2.3 million stone blocks, each averaging 2.5 tons, with some interior granite monoliths weighing up to 80 tons. These were quarried from hundreds of miles away, transported across the Nile and the desert, and then lifted and placed with mind-bending accuracy to form a structure that has stood for millennia. This goes far beyond brute force labor. The pyramid's design encodes sophisticated mathematical knowledge. The ratio of its perimeter to its height approximates 2 times pi, and the proportions within its chambers reflect the golden ratio. These are not accidental features, they are deliberate incorporations of constants that speak to a deep, scientific understanding of the world. The Great Pyramid, therefore, stands as the ultimate paradox, a monument so grand we assume we understand it, yet so precisely engineered that it quietly dismantles our simplest explanations. It is not merely a tomb, it is a three-dimensional textbook, its lessons written in angles, alignments, and immovable stone, waiting for a civilization advanced enough to fully comprehend its message. But for every towering pyramid, there lies a deeper, hidden story beneath the sand. South of the Giza Plateau, near the Temple of Seti I at Abydos, a different kind of mystery is submerged. Here, archaeologists uncovered the Osireion, a vast, subterranean structure that feels like it belongs to another world entirely. Reached by a long, descending passage, it is a hall of giants built from colossal blocks of red granite, each one weighing well over 100 tons. The architecture is what scholars call cyclopean, massive and minimally dressed, with enormous rectangular pillars supporting even larger crossbeams. The visual effect is one of raw, overwhelming power, a stark contrast to the finely carved and brightly painted hieroglyphs of the temple complex that sits above it. This is not the elegant, refined style of the New Kingdom pharaohs. It is something much more primal and imposing. In fact, to many who study it, the Osireion bears a much stronger resemblance to the granite megaliths of the Giza Valley Temple, than to anything built in its own apparent time period. This creates a profound chronological puzzle. If it was built by or for Seti I, why does it use a construction technique that looks thousands of years older? The structure's condition adds another layer of impossibility. It is permanently flooded by the area's high groundwater table, its lowest chambers filled with dark, still water. This flooding has severely hampered excavation and study, leaving the full extent and original floor level of the complex shrouded in mystery. Its purpose remains debated, often linked to rituals concerning the afterlife, but its physical reality speaks louder than any theoretical function. The Osireion stands, or rather sinks, as a powerful anomaly. It suggests that the mastery of moving and placing 100-ton granite blocks was not a technology the Egyptians invented during the Pyramid Age and then forgot. Instead, it hints at a much older, perhaps pre-dynastic tradition of megalithic construction, a foundational layer of skill upon which the later, more famous pharaohs built. This challenges the neat, linear timeline of Egyptian architectural progress, forcing us to wonder if the greatest achievements of that civilization were not beginnings, but echoes of a forgotten zenith. The silence of the desert gives way to the isolation of the open ocean. On the most remote inhabited island on Earth, a different kind of stone giant stares eternally inland. The Moai of Easter Island, known as Rapa Nui to its people, are not simply heads. They are colossal full-body figures, buried over time so that only their stern, elongated faces and towering pukao headdresses remain visible. Carved from the soft but dense volcanic tuff of the Rono Roroku quarry, these statues represent a staggering investment of a community's entire energy. The scale is almost incomprehensible, with the largest unfinished figure, nicknamed El Gigant, still lying in the quarry slope. If completed, it would have stood 72 feet tall and weighed between 160 and 180 tons. The act of carving such a monolith with simple basalt hand tools is a feat of patience and artistry, but it is only the first step in a far greater puzzle. Each finished moai then had to be transported, sometimes over 6 miles of rugged, hilly terrain, to its final ceremonial platform, or ahu, along the coast. For a small, isolated population with no large animals or complex machinery, this movement of multi-ton statues across the landscape feels like an impossibility. The oral history of the Rapa Nui people themselves offers a tantalizing clue. Speaking of the statues walking to their places, this poetic idea was long dismissed as myth until modern experiments demonstrated that a small team could indeed rock a moai replica from side to side using a system of ropes, creating a slow, shuffling forward walk. This practical demonstration shows a possible how, yet it does not fully resolve the enigma. The risk, the sheer physical endurance required to walk a 90-ton stone for miles, and the coordination needed to finally raise it upright onto its platform, remain awe-inspiring. The deeper mystery lies in the why. What drove this society to dedicate generations of labor to this monumental endeavor, to the point where some scholars suggest it may have contributed to ecological strain? The moai are not idle art, they are ancestral figures, embodiments of lineage and protection. Their creation was an act of profound cultural and spiritual necessity, a conversation with the past and a claim on the future, written in the most permanent material they could find. Their silent vigil is a testament to human ambition, a reminder that our drive to create meaning from stone can shape not only landscapes, but the very fate of civilizations. Beneath the waves lies a different kind of archive, one where the passage of time is measured not in layers of dust, but in rising seas. Off the southern tip of Japan's Yonaguni Island, divers encounter a site that blurs the line between geology and architecture. The Yonaguni Monument is a sprawling complex of massive sandstone formations, rising from the ocean floor like a sunken citadel. What you see are vast, flat terraces that drop in sharp, sequential steps. There are walls that meet at seemingly perfect 90-degree angles, colossal pillars, and even a distinct triangular depression that looks eerily like a ceremonial pool. The sheer geometric regularity of these features, clustered together in one location, feels orchestrated, deliberate. It is a place that immediately prompts a single, profound question: are we looking at the hand of nature or the hand of humanity? Geologists point to the region's unique sandstone, which naturally fractures along straight plains and can be eroded by strong tidal currents into stepped formations. They argue that nature, given enough time, can produce astonishingly regular shapes, yet for many researchers, the collective evidence tips the scale. The monument's features are not isolated oddities, they appear interconnected, forming a coherent layout that suggests intent. There are what look like carved channels and pathways, and the repetition of right angles in a natural setting is statistically unusual. If even a portion of this site was shaped or enhanced by human activity, the implications are seismic, quite literally. During the last ice age, global sea levels were nearly 400 feet lower than they are today. The Yonaguni platform would have been dry land, a coastal promontory overlooking a very different shoreline. If people worked this stone, they did so over 10,000 years ago in an epoch shrouded in the deepest prehistory. This time frame places it in a hypothetical age of advanced culture that mainstream archaeology struggles to acknowledge, a time from which almost no other monumental evidence on this scale survives. The monument, therefore, stands as a ghostly silhouette in the currents, a potential clue to a lost chapter of human endeavor. Its silent, submerged forms challenge us to expand our imagination of the past, to consider that the greatest chapters of our story may not be buried in sand, but resting beneath the sea, waiting for the tides of understanding to finally recede. The ocean's hidden archive gives way to a garden of stone in the Florida sunshine, a place that proves the mystery of megaliths did not end with the ancient world. In the small town of Homestead, a solitary man named Edward Leedskalnin spent 28 years of his life on a secretive, obsessive project. With no witnesses to his methods, he single-handedly quarried, carved, and arranged over 1,100 tons of oolite limestone, a heavy coral rock, to create what is now called the Coral Castle. This is not a collection of small carvings, it is a complex featuring massive walls, towering obelisks, multi-ton rocking chairs, and a perfectly balanced 9-ton revolving gate. This gate, a solid slab of stone, is so exquisitely balanced on a simple automobile bearing that even a child can push it open with a single finger. The logistical puzzle here is intensely personal and modern. Leedskalnin was a slight man, only 5 feet tall and weighing barely 100 pounds. He worked alone, mostly at night, and when asked how he moved blocks weighing many tons, he would only offer cryptic replies. He spoke of having rediscovered the building secrets of the ancient pyramids, of understanding the laws of weight and leverage, and of harnessing the forces of magnetism. He claimed to understand how the Egyptians and the ancient builders of Peru moved their giant stones. While skeptics propose he used simple block and tackle systems, tripods, and clever leverage, no one has ever convincingly replicated his one-man achievement with the same basic tools he was known to possess, like chains, winches, and metal bars. The Coral Castle stands as a powerful 20th-century echo of the ancient enigmas. It demonstrates that the core puzzle is not always about the era, but about the gap between observed achievement and the accepted means to get there. One man, with what appeared to be primitive equipment, accomplished a feat of megalithic engineering that should have required a large crew and industrial machinery. Whether he truly unlocked a forgotten principle of physics or was simply a genius of applied mechanics, Edward Leedskalnin's garden proves that what we call impossible might only be a matter of lost or overlooked knowledge. His silent castle asks us a direct and humbling question. If one man in the modern age could achieve this alone, what could an entire civilization, armed with a profound secret, have accomplished in the deep past? The quiet solitude of a single builder gives way to a landscape dotted with hundreds of silent, geometric mysteries. Deep in the humid lowlands of Costa Rica's Diquis Delta, a different kind of perfection emerges from the soil. Here, scattered across ancient riverbeds and former village sites, are the famous stone spheres. They are not merely rounded rocks, but objects of startling precision, some standing over 6 feet tall and weighing as much as 16 tons, the weight of 2 adult elephants. Carved from hard gabbro, limestone, or sandstone, their most arresting feature is their near-flawless sphericity. In a world before precision machining, these spheres achieve a geometric purity that feels utterly out of place, their surfaces worn smooth by time but still hinting at an original finish that defies their supposed primitive tools. Their very presence is a quiet, persistent question mark in the jungle. Hundreds have been found, and their purpose remains one of archaeology's most charming and frustrating puzzles. Were they celestial markers arranged to track the movements of stars and planets? Some spheres have been found in alignments, though many were moved by later agricultural activity, scrambling any original pattern. Could they have been symbols of power or lineage, with the size and placement of a sphere denoting the status of a clan or chieftain? Or were they part of a vast, forgotten cosmological map, a three-dimensional model of a belief system we can no longer decipher? The truth is, we do not know. The cultures that crafted them, like the Diquis, left no written records to explain their reasoning. The spheres are a pure expression of intent, separated from their meaning by centuries. This separation between the object and its maker's knowledge is where the true engineering mystery takes root. The real impossibility lies not in the why, but in the how. Creating a single, near-perfect sphere from hard stone is a monumental technical challenge. Doing it hundreds of times with consistent results across different sizes and materials implies something far beyond occasional artistry. It suggests a standardized technique, a refined and repeatable process that was taught and mastered. Think of the patience and skill required to peck and grind a 16-ton block of gabbro into a smooth orb, maintaining symmetry from every angle using only stone tools. The consistency across the collection points to a sophisticated, community-held knowledge of stoneworking, a specialized craft elevated to a science. Then comes the second, equally daunting puzzle of logistics. Once these multi-ton stone balls were carved, often at upland quarries, they had to be transported through dense, roadless jungle and across rivers to their final locations. The pre-Columbian peoples of this region did not use the wheel and had no large draft animals. The image of teams maneuvering a perfect, massive sphere through tangled vines and over uneven terrain without it cracking or losing its shape is a logistical nightmare. Some theories suggest they were moved on log rollers or within wooden cages, but the journey would have been perilously slow and fraught with risk. The successful placement of so many spheres speaks of a profound understanding of leverage, balance, and collective labor. They stand as a testament not to magic, but to a mastered, methodical technology that has since faded from memory. In their silent, perfect curves, they hold the shape of a forgotten question, a demonstration of skill so advanced it makes the surrounding jungle seem young by comparison. Sometimes the greatest architectural ambition is not to build up but to carve down. In the highlands of Ethiopia, a king's divine vision resulted in one of the most astonishing engineering projects in human history. In the 12th century, King Lalibela embarked on a sacred mission to create a new Jerusalem. The result was not a city of assembled stones, but 11 breathtaking churches, each one sculpted directly into the living bedrock. This is subtractive architecture at its most extreme, a process where the entire structure is revealed by the removal of everything that is not the church. The most iconic of these is Bet Georgis, the Church of St. George. From above, it reveals itself as a perfect Greek cross, a majestic symbol standing at the bottom of a deep, rectangular quarry. The entire church is a single, freestanding monolith, painstakingly separated from the surrounding volcanic rock by a trench over 30 feet deep. Imagine the audacity of this plan. Teams of workers did not lay a single stone. Instead, they began at the surface and carved downward, cutting doorways, windows, and roofs from the top, excavating the interior space ton by ton, all while preserving the exterior form. This required an irreversible master plan of staggering foresight. There was no room for error, no chance to reposition a wall or adjust a column's placement. Every cut had to be precise because a mistake in the excavation could weaken the entire structure, leading to catastrophic collapse. The builders had to understand the rock's integrity, anticipating stresses and supports as they hollowed out the interior. The precision extends from the monumental to the minute. Inside, you find fully carved columns, arches, and intricate biblical reliefs, all formed from the original stone. Windows are shaped into delicate crosses, letting shafts of light into the cavernous spaces. This is a feat that combines the scale of quarrying with the delicacy of sculpture, all executed in a single, continuous, and daring operation. The rock-hewn churches of Lalibela stand as a testament to a different kind of megalithic genius, one that did not move mountains, but instead commanded the mountain itself to become a cathedral. The desire to shape the earth for a purpose reaches a different scale entirely on the windswept coast of Brittany. Here, the landscape itself seems to have been given a silent, geometric command. The Carnac stones are not a single monument, but a sprawling field of memory, a vast collection of over 3,000 individual standing stones arranged in dense, parallel rows that stretch for miles across the countryside. While no single stone rivals the weight of a Moai or a pyramid block, the true impossibility lies in the overwhelming totality of the project. This was not a single generation's work. It was a centuries-long undertaking that transformed the entire region into a ritual landscape of breathtaking scope. The most famous alignment, Menek, is a statement of pure, ordered ambition, with nearly 1,100 stones arranged in 11 long, straight rows that converge as they march toward a circular enclosure. To stand at one end and look down these converging lines is to feel a profound sense of intentional design, a pattern so vast it can only be fully appreciated from the air. The sheer logistical effort to source, shape, transport, and erect thousands of heavy stones, some weighing several tons, represents a mobilization of labor and resources that speaks of a society with remarkable unity and organizational skill. But the stones themselves are only half the mystery. Their precise placement is the true puzzle that has captivated researchers for generations. Many of the rows are aligned with remarkable accuracy to the points of sunrise and sunset during the solstices, suggesting the site functioned as a colossal astronomical calendar. Other theories propose the lines acted as a territorial marker, a processional pathway for sacred ceremonies, or even, more speculatively, that the arrangement interacted with telluric energies or seismic activity. While the exact purpose may be debated, the underlying truth is undeniable. The Carnac alignments required a sophisticated understanding of geometry and surveying. Laying out rows that remain straight over such distances and that converge with such precision implies the use of advanced planning methods and measurement systems. This was a society that could think and act on a grand, multi-generational scale, driven by a shared belief or knowledge so powerful it compelled them to literally rearrange their world. The stones stand as a testament to communal purpose, a silent question written across hectares of French countryside, asking us what could possibly inspire such a coordinated, enduring act of collective will. Deep beneath the rolling hills of Cappadocia lies a civilization turned inside out, The underground city of Derinkuyu is not a structure built from the ground up, but one excavated from the earth down, a sprawling, inverted metropolis carved into the soft volcanic tuff. While the rock itself was workable, the vision behind this subterranean world reveals an engineering and social genius that is anything but primitive. This city descends over 200 feet, a vertiginous stack of 18 discovered levels, though many passages remain blocked, hinting at even greater depths. It was not a simple refuge, but a fully functional habitat designed to sustain an entire community, perhaps up to 20,000 individuals for extended periods. The scale of the excavation is staggering, representing the removal of countless tons of rock to create a labyrinth of living quarters, stables, churches, storage rooms, and even wineries, all connected by a network of steep, narrow passageways. The true marvel, however, lies in the life support systems integrated into the design. Engineers carved over 50 distinct ventilation shafts, some stretching all the way to the surface, ensuring a constant supply of fresh air to even the deepest chambers. They tapped into an underground river to provide fresh water through protected wells, and they designed ingenious channels and pits to manage waste. Security was paramount, evidenced by the massive, circular stone doors. These monolithic wheels, carved from solid rock, could be rolled across key passageways from the inside, sealing entire levels against any threat from above. Each door features a small, central hole, a clever feature that allowed defenders to spear any who tried to force their way in. This was not a panicked, temporary hideout. It was a planned, sustainable ecosystem built for generations. The communal effort required to plan, excavate, and maintain such a complex speaks of a society with remarkable foresight and organizational discipline. Derinkuyu transforms our understanding of ancient urban planning, proving that some of humanity's most advanced solutions were not aimed at the heavens, but at creating a safe, enduring world within the living earth itself. Yet the platform at Baalbek holds an even deeper secret, one that makes the famous Trilithon seem almost modest by comparison. Tucked into the western wall of the same foundation lies a row of stones so immense they defy rational explanation. These are the foundation blocks, the true bedrock of the entire complex. Each one is a behemoth, measuring roughly 33 feet in length, 14 feet in height, and 10 feet in thickness. Their weight is not estimated in the hundreds of tons, but pushes firmly toward a staggering 1,000 tons apiece. To grasp that scale, picture a fully loaded cargo ship's container, then imagine a solid block of stone weighing 50 times more. This is the realm of the truly impossible. The journey of these stones from quarry to construction site only amplifies the mystery. They were sourced from the same location as the Trilithon blocks, but their path to the temple platform was not a simple, flat haul. It involved moving these 1,000-ton masses a significant distance and, critically, on an uphill incline. The physics of this operation boggle the mind. Even with an army of workers, the friction, the risk of the stone settling into the earth, and the sheer force required to overcome gravity for such a mass create a logistical nightmare that no conventional model of ancient technology can satisfactorily solve. How do you persuade a small mountain of stone to climb a hill? The final act of this feat is perhaps the most baffling of all. Once transported, each block had to be lifted with pinpoint accuracy and set into its precise position in the foundation wall. This is not merely stacking, it is the careful placement of the heaviest objects ever moved by human hands, integrated into a seamless, weight-bearing structure. The precision required here is as monumental as the stones themselves. This western wall represents the absolute outer boundary of what our textbooks say was achievable in the ancient world. It stands as a quiet, overwhelming rebuke to simple explanations. If the Trilithon blocks are a question, these foundation stones are a shout. They force us to confront a simple, humbling reality. that the builders of this platform operated with a mastery over mass and movement that appears to belong to another age entirely, a knowledge so complete it allowed them to treat the landscape itself as a malleable material. Far from the sunken coasts and carved churches, a different kind of ruin waits in the cold silence of the Siberian wilderness. In the remote, rugged peaks of Gornaya Shoria, explorers have encountered a scene that redefines the very concept of megalithic. Here, scattered across a mountainside like toys of forgotten giants, lie stone blocks of such incomprehensible size they seem to belong to the realm of geology, not human history. The largest of these, a titanic slab of granite, is estimated to weigh between 3,000 and 4,000 tons. To grasp that weight, consider that it is nearly 5 times heavier than the grandest stone at Baalbek. It is a mass equivalent to a dozen blue whales or a fully loaded naval destroyer resting on a mountain slope. What makes this more than just a curious natural formation are the telltale signs of intent. Many of these colossal stones exhibit flat surfaces, sharp, angular corners, and what appear to be clean, deliberate cuts. They look less like broken bedrock and more like the shattered components of a cyclopean structure, now tumbled and split apart, perhaps by unimaginable seismic forces or the slow, relentless crush of ice ages. The site is shrouded in extreme controversy, largely due to its punishing remoteness and the immense difficulty of conducting formal archaeological study. The terrain is treacherous, the climate harsh, and the scale of the stones themselves makes traditional analysis nearly impossible. Are these truly worked megaliths or a spectacular freak of glacial and tectonic activity? This is the central, burning question. If verified as the product of intelligent design, the implications are not simply incremental, they are revolutionary. A 4,000-ton worked block would not just be another entry on a list of ancient wonders. It would be an absolute outlier, a data point so extreme it suggests a completely unknown chapter in prehistory. It points to a culture, or perhaps a civilization, that operated on an engineering scale so vast it makes the pyramid builders seem modest by comparison. What kind of technology could even contemplate moving a mountain, let alone shaping it? The Gornaya Shoria megaliths, whether ultimately natural or artificial, force us to confront the limits of our historical imagination. They stand as a stark reminder that our planet may hold ruins so ancient and so vast that we have not yet learned to recognize them as anything but part of the landscape itself. The sheer mass of a Siberian mountain yields to a temple that harnessed the very forces of nature. On the eastern coast of India, the Sun Temple of Konark stands not as a pile of colossal stones, but as a symphony of impossible vision. Conceived in the 13th century, this monument, known as the Black Pagoda, was designed as a gigantic cosmic chariot for the sun god Shoria, pulled by stone horses and set upon 24 intricately carved wheels. While its blocks are not cyclopean, its impossibility lies in a breathtaking fusion of art, architecture, and a legendary mastery of physics. The entire structure is a coded representation of the solar cycle, a theological idea made manifest in sandstone. Its walls are a dense tapestry of carvings depicting deities, musicians, dancers, and scenes of daily life with a vitality that seems to defy the stone's own weight. The real enigma, however, rests at its vanished peak. The main tower, now collapsed, was said to be crowned by a massive 52-ton magnet. Ancient accounts and local legend describe a profound marvel. The temple's inner sanctum, the sacred chamber housing the deity, was suspended in mid-air. The story holds that the powerful magnetic force from this apex stone, combined with cleverly placed magnets within the walls, created a levitational effect, allowing the sanctum to float. Whether this was a literal physical achievement or a powerful symbolic tale is a subject of deep debate, but the mere conception is what stops us. integrating such a sophisticated understanding of magnetic force into architectural design speaks of a knowledge far beyond simple construction. It suggests the builders viewed the temple not just as a static monument, but as a dynamic instrument, a device designed to interact with the invisible energies of the world. The precision required to balance such forces, if attempted, would be a feat of engineering as delicate as it is grand. This, combined with the temple's intricate, gravity-defying stone filigree and its perfect solar alignments, paints a picture of a culture that saw no separation between spiritual vision and physical law. The Sun Temple of Konark challenges our categories, asking us if the greatest ancient technology was not merely about moving Earth, but about understanding and channeling the very forces that hold the universe together. Beneath a gentle hill in southern Spain rests a monument to both memory and might. The Dolmen of Menga is not a towering fortress or a sprawling complex, but a profound and intimate space, a house for the departed built on a scale that defies its age. Constructed around 3700 BC during the Neolithic period, this is one of the largest known ancient burial mounds in all of Europe. Its form is deceptively simple, a long corridor-like chamber leading to a circular end, all buried beneath an earthen tumulus, but step inside and the simplicity vanishes. The chamber walls are formed by colossal stone slabs called orthostats, each one planted deep into the earth, and above them, forming the ceiling, rest 5 absolutely enormous capstones. The largest of these roof slabs is a staggering behemoth, estimated to weigh around 180 tons. This single piece of stone is the heart of the mystery. It was not found nearby. Geological analysis confirms it was quarried from a site several kilometers away, a journey that in itself represents a monumental feat of transportation for a people without wheels or draft animals. The logistics of moving a block of that mass across the Neolithic landscape, likely using rollers, levers, and the coordinated strength of many people, is a testament to incredible communal will. Yet the transportation is only half the puzzle. The true engineering marvel comes at the end of that journey. This 180-ton capstone had to be lifted over 20 feet into the air and then carefully, precisely lowered onto the tops of the vertical support stones to form a stable, permanent roof. The margin for error was zero. A slip, a cracked support, or an uneven placement would have meant catastrophic collapse, ruining years of collective labor. How did they achieve this final, delicate act with only ropes, wooden levers, and earthen ramps? The prevailing theory involves the construction of a great sloping ramp of earth and stone behind the chamber. The capstone would have been painstakingly dragged up this incline, positioned above the open chamber, and then the supporting earth beneath it would be slowly, methodically dug away, allowing the stone to settle inch by inch onto its waiting supports. This process required not just brute force, but meticulous planning, patience, and a deep, intuitive understanding of balance and gravity. The successful creation of the Dolmen of Menga shatters our quiet assumptions about early agricultural societies. This was not a community merely focused on survival. It was a culture capable of extraordinary long-term projects, with the social organization to coordinate large labor forces and the technical skill to execute a plan of breathtaking ambition. They built not for the living but for the ancestors, creating a resting place of such enduring strength that it has sheltered its silent purpose for over 5,000 years. This quiet hill in Spain stands as a powerful reminder that the drive to create lasting meaning is one of humanity's most fundamental and formidable forces. The ambition to build upon water is perhaps the ultimate test of an engineer's vision. In the warm, shallow seas off the island of Pohnpei, the ruins of Nan Madol rise like a forgotten geometric dream. This is not a single temple, but an entire ceremonial city constructed atop a coral reef, a network of around 100 artificial islands separated by a grid of silent canals. To call it the Venice of the Pacific is not just poetic, it is a statement of sheer, improbable will. The first impossibility is the very ground it stands upon. The builders did not find a convenient archipelago, they created one. They piled countless tons of coral rubble onto the unstable reef platform to form stable foundations, a titanic act of land reclamation that predates modern engineering by centuries. Upon these precarious new islets, they then erected their structures, but the material they chose adds a second, deeper layer of mystery. The walls are built from logs of columnar basalt, a volcanic rock that naturally forms into heavy, prismatic columns. These stone logs, some weighing up to 50 tons, were not sourced locally. They were quarried from the opposite side of Pohnpei, a rugged island many miles away. This presents a logistical puzzle of stunning complexity. How do you transport thousands of these multi-ton stone cylinders from a distant quarry, across a mountainous jungle interior, and then out over open ocean to a construction site on a reef? The local oral tradition offers a hauntingly simple explanation. It is said that two magicians flew the stones through the air to their place in the walls. While we search for more terrestrial answers, this legend underscores the sheer improbability witnessed by later generations. The practical methods likely involved a combination of bamboo rafts, outrigger canoes, and an immense mastery of tides and currents, turning the sea from a barrier into a highway. Yet the effort remains almost incomprehensible. Each successful voyage with a 50-ton stone log was a victory over the waves, a testament to a society with extraordinary maritime skill and coordinated labor. Nan Madol was the spiritual and political heart of the Sordelor dynasty, a place of immense power and ritual. Its construction on this artificial, aquatic stage was a deliberate display of control over both nature and society. To build a city of stone upon the sea was to perform a kind of magic, proving that the will of its rulers could literally reshape the world. The silent canals and towering walls now stand as a monument to that will, a question written in basalt and water, asking us how a Pacific island culture achieved a logistical feat that would challenge any ancient civilization on Earth. The silent ambition of Nan Madol gives way to a raw and exposed scar in the Egyptian desert, a monument to ambition interrupted. At the granite quarries of Aswan, the unfinished obelisk lies in situ, a breathtaking snapshot of megalithic engineering caught in a moment of both creation and catastrophic failure. This single piece of stone, still partially fused to the living bedrock, offers an unparalleled classroom, a chance to see the methods and the immense stakes of this work written plainly in the rock. Had it been completed, it would have stood over 100 feet tall and weighed an estimated 1,200 tons, dwarfing every other obelisk ever raised. Its very presence is a statement of staggering confidence, but its condition tells a more cautionary tale. The quarrying technique is laid bare for any visitor to see. Workers carved deep, narrow trenches around the intended shape of the obelisk. Then, using nothing but dolerite stone balls, they pounded away at the granite along the trench line, creating a series of perforations. The idea was to gradually deepen these channels until the monolith was separated from the bedrock beneath, a process of brute force and astonishing patience. Yet here the process stopped. A fatal flaw appeared in the stone, a deep crack that rendered the entire monolith useless for its intended purpose. This crack is the heart of the story. It reveals the profound vulnerability of such projects, the razor-thin margin between immortal glory and total, wasted effort. Years, perhaps decades, of coordinated labor by skilled workers were invested in this single stone, only for nature to intercede with a single, hidden weakness. The abandonment is a humbling reminder of the immense risk inherent in every one of these megalithic endeavors. For modern observers, the unfinished obelisk serves a dual purpose. On one hand, it vividly illustrates the audacity and the basic physical technique of Egyptian engineers. We can see the trenches, imagine the sound of countless stone hammers, and grasp the sheer volume of material that needed to be removed just to free this one block. On the other hand, it starkly highlights the limitations of those very methods. If this project using these tools failed at the quarrying stage, it makes the successful completion of only slightly smaller obelisks seem nothing short of miraculous. It forces us to ask what refined knowledge, what incremental improvements in technique or logistics allowed them to not only extract perfect 1,000-ton blocks, but then transport them hundreds of miles down the Nile and erect them with pinpoint accuracy. This abandoned giant is more than a ruin. It is a frozen moment of vulnerability, a testament that even the greatest ancient builders were not infallible, and that their surviving triumphs represent a hard-won mastery over a stone that did not always cooperate. While the pyramids command the skyline, their silent companion on the Giza Plateau holds secrets of its own. The Valley Temple, standing in the shadow of the Great Sphinx, is a study in stark, overwhelming power. Unlike the later, graceful temples adorned with hieroglyphs and painted reliefs, this structure speaks a different architectural language. Its core is built from colossal blocks of limestone and red granite, each one a testament to raw mass with many exceeding 100 tons. The effect is one of cyclopean minimalism, a fortress-like solemnity that feels ancient in a way that is difficult to quantify. The true engineering marvel, however, lies in the touch. The granite casing stones that line its interior are fitted together with a precision that borders on the surreal. The joints are so exact, so flawlessly executed, that they become virtually invisible, creating seamless walls of solid stone. This is not merely stacking, it is a form of stone welding, achieving a perfection that seems to belong to a different technological era than the copper chisels found elsewhere. This stark contrast in style is what fuels a profound historical debate. The Valley Temple's architectural voice is a deep, resonant bass, entirely distinct from the more complex and ornate melodies of later dynastic temples. For many researchers, this dissonance is a clue. It has led to the compelling proposal that the temple, and perhaps even the Sphinx itself, are not simply contemporary with the Fourth Dynasty pyramids, but are remnants of a much older, pre-dynastic complex. In this view, the pharaohs like Khafre did not build this temple from scratch, but rather adopted, restored, and incorporated these awe-inspiring, already ancient ruins into their own mortuary complexes. This idea challenges the tidy, linear timeline we have constructed for Giza. It suggests the plateau was a sacred site long before the pyramids rose, and that the greatest achievements of the Old Kingdom were built upon a foundation of forgotten giants. The Valley Temple, therefore, is more than a gateway. It is our architectural fossil, a layer of history in stone that asks us to reconsider who the first masters of Giza truly were. But the stones of Giza and Aswan are not the only ones that whisper of a deeper past. Across the Atlantic, in the quiet woods and farmlands of New England, a different kind of mystery sits half-hidden beneath moss and legend. Scattered from Vermont to Massachusetts are hundreds of enigmatic stone structures, often dismissed as colonial root cellars or the work of early farmers. Yet a closer look reveals something profoundly out of place. These are not simple stone piles. They are intricate chambers often built into hillsides with low, corbelled roofs that curve inward and entryways sealed by massive, multi-ton lintel stones. Their design is not a product of 18th century practicality. It is an architectural echo from across the ocean and across millennia. The style is unmistakably reminiscent of Neolithic chambered tombs found in Ireland, Scotland, and Brittany, structures built thousands of years before Columbus set sail. This resemblance is the core of a quiet but intense controversy. The official history tells us these are colonial constructions, but the architectural language tells a different story. Why would settlers building simple storage replicate the complex ceremonial corbelling techniques of ancient Europe, a method requiring significant skill and offering no practical advantage over a simpler, gabled roof of wood? The sheer weight of the lintel stones, some weighing several tons, also points to a communal effort that seems excessive for a simple farm outbuilding. The dating of these sites is where the mystery truly ignites. While some show evidence of colonial reuse, others lack any historical documentation linking them to European settlers. Lichen growth analysis and geological weathering patterns on a few chambers have suggested ages far older than 500 years, potentially placing their construction in the pre-Columbian era. This possibility, though hotly debated, opens a door to a staggering rewrite of history. If these chambers are genuinely ancient, who built them? The implications spiral outward. Could they be the work of a sophisticated, yet unknown, indigenous culture that mastered megalithic construction long before European contact? Or, more controversially, do they stand as silent evidence of transoceanic voyages in deep antiquity, visitors from across the Atlantic who left their architectural signature in the New World? Either scenario challenges the textbook narrative of American history, suggesting a human presence on this continent that was not only older but far more technologically and culturally complex than we have ever allowed. These unassuming stone chambers tucked away in modern backyards and state parks are more than curious relics. They are potential keystones in a story we are still learning to tell, a quiet but persistent question mark carved into the very bedrock of the accepted past. The whispers of transatlantic mystery fade against the vibrant legacy of a powerful African kingdom. Far from the cold forests of New England, the sun-baked stone ruins of Great Zimbabwe stand as a monumental testament to indigenous innovation and wealth. This is the largest ancient structure south of the Sahara Desert, a city that thrived as the capital of a vast trading empire between the 11th and 15th centuries. Its very existence shatters outdated notions about pre-colonial African history, revealing a civilization of profound sophistication and power. The most awe-inspiring section is the Great Enclosure, a vast elliptical space defined by walls of breathtaking scale and precision. These ramparts soar up to 36 feet high and stretch an astonishing 16 feet thick, a formidable barrier built entirely from millions of granite blocks. The true marvel is in the masonry. Each stone was carefully quarried and shaped to fit seamlessly with its neighbors, creating smooth, curved walls assembled without a single drop of mortar. The fit is so exact, the coursing so regular, that the entire structure appears to flow from the landscape itself, a testament to a masterful, standardized stonemasonry technique passed down through generations. This was not haphazard piling, it was a calculated architectural declaration. The logistics behind it speak of a highly organized society. Sourcing, shaping, and stacking millions of stones required a centralized authority capable of mobilizing and sustaining a large, skilled workforce for generations. It demonstrates an advanced understanding of engineering principles to ensure stability, with the walls gently tapering inward as they rise to distribute weight perfectly. Great Zimbabwe was the heart of a network that traded gold, ivory, and copper with merchants from as far away as China and the Arab world. Its grand walls were not merely defensive, they were a symbol of immense economic power and cultural achievement, a unique and powerful architectural voice in southern Africa. The ruins stand today not as a mystery of lost technology, but as a reclaimed chapter of history, a proud reminder of a complex civilization whose engineering prowess was perfectly matched to its ambition and its time. The silent walls of Great Zimbabwe speak of earthly power, but on a small Mediterranean island, stone holds a different kind of resonance. The Maltese archipelago is a quiet speck in the sea, yet it cradles some of the most ancient architectural wonders on the planet. The temples of Sacsayhuamán, built around 3,150 years before the Common Era, stand as free-standing monuments that predate even the pyramids of Giza by centuries. This is a place where time itself seems to have taken root in the limestone. The complex is a series of interconnected, clover-shaped chambers built from truly massive stone blocks. The scale is immediately humbling, with some of the upright megaliths weighing many tons, hauled and positioned by a society that, according to the archaeological record, had no metal tools, no wheels, and no large animals to assist them. This was a seemingly peaceful prehistoric culture, yet their architectural ambition was anything but primitive. The mystery of how they moved these stones is profound, but it is only the first layer of the puzzle. Walk among the ruins, and you will find the stone itself has been given a voice. The hard limestone walls are adorned with some of the oldest known relief carvings in the world, intricate and mesmerizing spirals that swirl across the surface with fluid grace. These are not crude scratches, but deep, precise channels carved with a master's hand, suggesting the use of specialized tools and a highly developed artistic tradition. But the true whisper of Sacsayhuamán is not just seen, it is heard. Researchers have noted something extraordinary about the spaces within these temples. Certain chambers appear to have been designed with specific acoustic properties in mind. The shape and volume of the rooms, the placement of the stones, even the material of the limestone itself, can create unique sound resonances. A voice spoken or a ritual drumbeat struck in one spot might be amplified, altered, or carried with haunting clarity to another part of the temple. This is not likely an accident. It hints at a ritualistic use of architecture that integrated an advanced, intuitive understanding of sound physics. The builders may have been creating not just a visual sanctuary, but an auditory one, a space where sound itself became a sacred element, shaping ceremony and experience. This transforms our view of these ancient people. They were not merely stacking rocks for shelter, they were engineering environments for the spirit, weaving together mass, art, and acoustics into a single, profound instrument. Their achievement forces us to ask, what other dimensions of ancient knowledge have we failed to hear, simply because we have been listening for answers only in the silence of the stones? The mastery of sound in Malta shifts our focus from the sky to the earth itself, to a place where the very ground was hollowed out on an industrial scale. In the Zhejiang province of China, the Longyu Caves are a subterranean world that defies both history and logic. Discovered by accident in 1992, when local farmers pumped water from what they thought were small ponds, they revealed an underground complex of breathtaking ambition. To date, 36 man-made caverns have been found, each one an echoing cathedral carved by hand into the solid, yet fragile siltstone. The sheer volume is staggering, with each cave averaging a floor space of over 10,000 square feet, large enough to hold several basketball courts and reaching heights of up to 100 feet. The scale alone would be remarkable, but it is the precision that elevates this to an engineering mystery of the highest order. The caverns are not rough holes. They are meticulously shaped spaces with vast, smooth ceilings supported by enormous, uniformly carved pillars left in place to hold up the mountain above. Every surface, from the walls to the ceilings to the pillars themselves, is covered in a dense, mesmerizing pattern of parallel chisel marks, each one struck at a perfectly consistent 60-degree angle. This is not the work of haphazard digging. It is the signature of a systematic, almost mechanical technique, applied with unwavering discipline across millions of square feet of rock. The pattern speaks of an immense, highly organized workforce operating with a shared, rigorous standard, a level of coordination that rivals any modern construction project. Yet, for all this evidence of monumental effort, the caves exist in a profound historical silence. no records from any Chinese dynasty mention their construction. No local legends, no ancient texts, not even a single shred of pottery or tool left behind gives a clue to their builders or their purpose. Based on geological evidence and some scant clues, their creation is estimated to be over 2,000 years old, placing them in a historical blind spot. The numbers involved are almost beyond comprehension. Archaeologists estimate that nearly 1 million cubic meters of rock were painstakingly removed, chip by chip, from inside that hillside. To visualize that, picture a solid block of stone the size of a large sports stadium simply vanished, carried out bucket by bucket in the darkness. Where did all that rubble go? Why was such a Herculean effort undertaken and then so completely forgotten? The Longyu caves stand as a paradox of immense visibility and total obscurity, a ghost project from the ancient world that whispers of an organized power and a purpose we can no longer decipher. This intricate stone is a masterclass in applied geometry. Nestled within the famous zigzagging walls of Sacsayhuamán, there is one particular block that captures the entire enigma in a single, compact form. Often called the Stone of 12 Angles, it is not a towering monolith, but its complexity is breathtaking. This single block of andesite has been shaped to present 12 distinct, cleanly defined faces, each one a flat plane meeting its neighbor at a sharp, precise edge. It fits into the wall not as a simple rectangle, but as a custom-forged key, locking into a negative space defined by the unique shapes of the blocks around it. The challenge here is not merely carving 12 sides, but carving 12 specific sides. Each angle, each length of each face, had to be calculated and executed to match the exact, irregular void left by the stones already set in place. This transforms the task from basic masonry into a form of three-dimensional, real-time puzzle solving of the highest order. Think of trying to hand-carve a single, heavy piece of a jigsaw puzzle, where the shape you must create is defined solely by the empty hole in the nearly finished puzzle. Now imagine that puzzle is made of solid rock. Each piece weighs several tons, and a single error of a few millimeters means the piece will not fit, potentially compromising the structural integrity of the entire wall. The precision required is almost inconceivable using simple stone hammers. This stone strongly suggests a far more refined process. It implies the builders possessed a method for accurately measuring the negative space in the wall, then transferring those complex, multi-angled measurements onto a raw block, and finally shaping that block to a perfect fit, likely through a process of careful grinding and polishing. This is on-site custom fabrication, a technique that speaks of a sophisticated, almost modular approach to construction. The Stone of 12 Angles is a quiet but profound statement. It tells us that the true genius of Sacsayhuamán lies not just in the weight of its stones, but in the intelligence of their connections, a silent language of precision that we are still learning to decode. Subtractive architecture reaches its absolute zenith in the heart of India. The Kailasa temple at Ellora is not built, it is revealed, the world's largest single piece of sculpture. Imagine a mountain of solid basalt, and within it, a master architect visualizes an entire temple complex, complete with multi-story towers, intricate pillars, sweeping galleries, and life-sized stone elephants. Then the work begins, not from the ground up, but from the sky downward. For generations, stoneworkers dangled from the top of the cliff, their tools biting into the volcanic rock. Their task was not addition, but meticulous removal, a process of freeing the sacred form from its stony prison by taking away everything that was not the temple. The scale of this excavation is almost beyond human comprehension. Scholars estimate that over 400,000 tons of rock were painstakingly chiseled, hauled, and carted away. That is a volume of stone equivalent to a small mountain itself, removed piece by piece, basket by bucket, across decades, perhaps even centuries. This top-down method created a paradox of construction. The highest points of the temple, its ornate rooftop spires, were the first parts to be completed, while the deepest courtyards and foundational plinths were the very last to see the light of day. This approach required a kind of foresight that borders on the prophetic. There was no going back, no chance to revise the blueprint once the cutting began. A single miscalculation in depth, a misjudgment in the angle of a pillar, could have weakened a critical load-bearing section and doomed the entire multi-generational project to collapse. The confidence to begin such an irreversible endeavor speaks of more than faith. It demonstrates a generational mastery of geology, understanding the grain and strength of the basalt, and of structural engineering, knowing precisely how much rock could be removed before the remaining form would stand on its own. This was project management on a superhuman timeline, a sacred vision so powerful it commanded the labor of countless hands, all working in perfect concert toward a finished masterpiece they themselves would never live to see completed. The Colossal temple stands not merely as a place of worship, but as the ultimate testament to human patience and precision, a monument carved not from stone, but from the unwavering certainty of a shared dream. The line between a natural wonder and a human one can vanish beneath the waves. Off the coast of Bimini in the Bahamas, divers explore a formation that has become a perfect case study in this enduring ambiguity. Known as the Bimini Road, it appears as a long, linear pathway of massive, rectangular limestone blocks resting on the sandy seafloor. The stones are impressively large, some measuring up to 10 feet across, and they are arranged in a remarkably straight line that curves in a gentle J shape for nearly half a mile. What captures the imagination are their clean edges and what look like deliberate right angles, with some blocks even seeming to be stacked atop one another in a purposeful manner. To the eye, it feels orchestrated, like the paved foundation of an ancient causeway or a collapsed dock leading out to a deeper, lost harbor. The immediate, powerful question is whether we are looking at the hand of nature or the hand of a forgotten builder. Mainstream geology offers a compelling natural explanation. The blocks are composed of beak rock, a type of sandstone that forms naturally in the intertidal zone. As it forms, it often fractures along straight lines due to internal stresses, creating neat, geometric shapes that can look deceptively cut. Over time, as sea levels rose, this formation was submerged, leaving it to be smoothed and scattered by currents, creating the illusion of a constructed feature. It is a classic example of pareidolia, our brain's tendency to see meaningful patterns, especially human-made ones, in random natural formations. Yet, for those who argue for an artificial origin, certain details resist easy dismissal. Proponents point to the consistency of the block sizes, the apparent alignment of the stones in a purposeful curve, and the presence of what they identify as tool marks or mortise holes on some of the rocks. They argue that the natural beak rock explanation does not fully account for the stacked blocks or the precise linear arrangement over such a long distance. If it is indeed a man-made structure, the implications are profound. During the last ice age, sea levels were nearly 400 feet lower. The Bimini Road would have been on dry land, a coastal feature built by a culture living on a now drowned shoreline. Dating such a submerged site is notoriously difficult, but some estimates, if it were artificial, could place its construction over 10,000 years ago. This time frame inevitably brushes against one of history's most enduring legends, Plato's story of a great island civilization lost beneath the sea. While mainstream archaeology firmly separates myth from material evidence, the very existence of such a debated structure in the Atlantic Ocean keeps the question alive in the popular imagination. The Bimini Road, therefore, is more than a curious dive site. It encapsulates the core tension at the heart of megalithic studies. How do we distinguish the incredible works of nature from the eroded remnants of a lost human past? The evidence is often fragmentary, the geology confusing, and the line between the two frustratingly, beautifully blurry. It teaches us that the first step in solving an ancient mystery is often the hardest, simply deciding what exactly we are looking at. Across the dense, humid lowlands of ancient Mexico, a civilization made its first monumental statement not with walls or temples, but with faces. The Olmec colossal heads are an arresting sight, 17 known sculptures of stern, helmeted individuals, each one carved from a single, gargantuan boulder of volcanic basalt. Their weight is staggering, with the largest approaching 50 tons, the equivalent of a full-sized tank. Yet their power lies not merely in their mass, but in their profound humanity, each face bearing unique, individualized features, from broad noses and full lips to the distinct expressions of authority and calm. They are portraits in mountain scale, a gallery of rulers or deities made permanent. The first impossibility is the material itself. This basalt did not come from the Olmec heartland in Veracruz. It was sourced from the Tuxtla Mountains, a rugged volcanic range over 60 miles away. On a map, that distance may seem manageable, but the terrain transforms it into an epic journey. The path from quarry to ceremonial center wound through dense tropical forest, across swampy marshlands and over rivers. The Olmec, as one of Mesoamerica's foundational cultures, flourished without the wheel and without any large draft animals like horses or oxen. This logistical reality turns the transportation of a 50-ton stone sphere into a puzzle of physics and human will. How do you persuade a small hill of rock to float across a swamp? Scholars believe the answer was a masterpiece of low-tech ingenuity. The boulders were likely first shaped roughly at the quarry to reduce weight. Then, during the seasonal floods, they may have been loaded onto immense rafts, using the river networks as natural highways. For overland segments, teams would have employed rollers, likely logs, and a system of levers, ropes, and earthen ramps. The process would have been agonizingly slow, a symphony of coordinated shouts and straining muscles, moving the stone mere inches at a time. This was not a task for a few dozen people, but for an entire community, mobilized and directed by a powerful central authority. The successful movement of these heads, therefore, represents far more than artistic ambition. It is a clear signature of a complex, organized society. It proves the Olmec possessed the social structure to feed, house, and coordinate large labor forces for projects that yielded no immediate practical return, only lasting symbolic power. The heads were likely placed in central plazas, eternal guardians of the community's identity and the ruling lineage's divine right. Their creation marks a pivotal moment in the story of the Americas, the dawn of a civilization confident enough to reshape the very landscape to reflect its own enduring face. Göbekli Tepe does not merely sit on a hill in Turkey. It shatters the timeline we have carefully constructed for our own past. Radiocarbon dating places its construction around 9,600 years before the Common Era. To grasp how profoundly early that is, consider this: the first stones of Göbekli Tepe were being set over 6,000 years before the Great Pyramid of Giza was even a concept. This site is not just old, it is anomalously ancient, a fully realized ceremonial complex built at a time when, according to every established model of human development, it should not exist. The builders were not farmers living in towns, they were hunter-gatherers, communities following migratory game and seasonal plants. They had not yet invented pottery, they had no written language, and they had not domesticated animals or crops to create a food surplus. Yet they achieved something that defies the core narrative of history. They quarried, shaped, transported, and erected massive T-shaped limestone pillars, some standing over 16 feet tall and weighing more than 20 tons. These are not crude posts, they are sophisticated architectural elements, smoothed and shaped with clear intent, then set into solid stone sockets to form great circular enclosures. The pillars themselves are a gallery of a lost world, carved with breathtakingly intricate reliefs of animals, scorpions, foxes, bulls, and cranes, captured with an artistic skill that speaks of a rich symbolic and spiritual life. This is where the true revolution lies. For over a century, the dominant theory of civilization's rise has followed a logical sequence. First, humans discovered agriculture, which created a stable food surplus. This surplus allowed people to settle in permanent communities, which led to social stratification, specialized labor, and complex governance. Only then, with this organized, hierarchical society in place, could they muster the resources and labor for monumental architecture. Göbekli Tepe turns this sequence completely on its head. Here, the monumental architecture came first. The evidence suggests that disparate bands of hunter-gatherers were drawn to this site, not to live but to build and to worship. The construction of these great stone circles required a staggering level of organization, planning, and sustained cooperation between groups who otherwise lived a mobile, foraging life. They had to coordinate the labor of hundreds, manage the logistics of moving multi-ton stones from local quarries, and pass down the artistic and engineering knowledge needed to execute their vision across generations, all without the glue of a settled agricultural society. This forces a breathtaking reconsideration. What if the drive to create a shared sacred space, to gather for ritual and collective purpose, was not a product of civilization but its very spark? What if the need to build Göbekli Tepe is what first taught humans how to plan on a grand scale, how to cooperate in large numbers, and how to sustain a project bigger than any single band could achieve? In this light, the temple is not an early achievement of civilization. It may be the founding act. Those towering T-shaped pillars, gazing out from the dawn of time, ask us a quiet, monumental question. Did we build temples because we became settled, or did we become settled because we first felt the compelling need to build? The stones are set, but their journey is the deeper story. Across every continent and culture we have explored, a single, unifying question echoes louder than any other. How did they get there? The silent, final placement of a megalith is only the last act in a drama of almost unimaginable logistics. We are left staring at the aftermath, a 1,000-ton block resting perfectly on a temple platform, and we must reconstruct the epic voyage that brought it home. This is the mystery of the moving megaliths, a thematic puzzle that connects the pyramid builders of Egypt, the stone shapers of Peru, and the obelisk raisers of every ancient world. It forces us to confront the gap between the primitive tool kits we have found and the monumental mobility these cultures clearly possessed. The theories that attempt to bridge this gap form a fascinating spectrum, from the rigorously practical to the breathtakingly speculative, and each one reveals something about our own struggle to comprehend the past. On the practical end, archaeologists and engineers have conducted remarkable experiments to test the limits of simple technology. Teams have successfully moved multi-ton replicas using wooden sledges on lubricated timber tracks, a method that turns friction into a manageable force. Others have demonstrated the power of the lever and the fulcrum, rocking massive stones forward inch by agonizing inch. The use of counterweight cranes, known as shadoofs in Egypt, shows how clever mechanics could lift tremendous weights with a slow, deliberate balance of force. Researchers like Mark Lehner have participated in these hands-on trials, moving blocks and carving stone with reconstructed tools to prove that sheer human ingenuity, coordination, and persistent effort could achieve the seemingly impossible. These experiments are vital, grounding the mystery in the tangible world of physics and sweat. They show us a possible how, a path of immense but conceivable effort. Yet, for many of the most extreme cases, these practical methods still strain against the scale of the problem. moving a 1,000-ton block like those at Baalbek up an incline, or transporting 50-ton stone spheres through Costa Rican jungle without roads, pushes even these demonstrated techniques to a breaking point. The number of workers required, the time involved, and the sheer margin for catastrophic error lead some to wonder if a key piece of the puzzle is still missing. This is where more speculative ideas enter the conversation. Thinkers and researchers like Christopher Dunn, who approaches the past with an engineer's eye, point to the machine-like precision on display at sites like Puma Punku or within the Great Pyramid. They argue that such perfection implies tools and methods far beyond simple copper chisels and stone balls. Could the ancients have mastered a form of advanced acoustics, using specific sound frequencies to temporarily reduce the weight of stone or vibrate it into position? The idea of acoustic levitation, while fringe, is rooted in observable physics regarding resonance and vibrational harmonics. Even more provocative are the suggestions of anti-gravity principles or the use of a lost geopolymer, a man-made stone that could be cast in place rather than quarried and moved. These concepts venture into the realm of what we might call forgotten high technology, a knowledge so complete it appears as magic to later ages. While mainstream science remains deeply skeptical, the persistence of these theories underscores a fundamental frustration. The standard models, for all their value, often feel insufficient to explain the full scope of the achievement. This does not mean we must choose between the practical and the speculative, but rather that the truth may exist in a combination we have not yet imagined. Perhaps the ancients possessed a profoundly sophisticated understanding of simple machines, combined with a unique social organization and a spiritual motivation that fueled superhuman perseverance. Or perhaps they did discover a natural principle, a clever trick of physics concerning weight and leverage that has since been overlooked in our rush toward mechanized solutions. This persistent logistical puzzle is the great connective tissue of our global journey. It whispers that a fundamental piece of our understanding of ancient engineering physics is absent. Whether that missing piece is a clever wooden device now rotted to dust, a perfected chant lost to time, or an entirely different way of perceiving mass and energy, its absence is what makes these silent stones speak so loudly. They stand as collective proof that our ancestors found ways to overcome the literal weight of the world, and in doing so, they left behind a challenge not just to our historical timelines, but to our very imagination of what is possible. The stone itself holds the final, most intimate clue to this global mystery. Across every continent, from the granite chambers of Giza to the andesite puzzles of Peru, we find a shared fingerprint, a signature of impossible craftsmanship. This is the precision-cutting conundrum, a silent testament written not in the placement of the stones but in their very skin. How did cultures separated by oceans and millennia achieve such flawless work on materials that would challenge our modern tools? The surfaces they left behind are not merely smooth, they are often perfectly flat over many square feet, meeting in crisp, unwavering right angles. Intricate patterns, precise drill holes, and interlocking joints cut into granite, basalt, and andesite speak of a control that feels more like machining than masonry. When you run a hand over a 20-ton block at Sacsayhuamán and feel no seam, or examine the mirror-like finish inside an Egyptian sarcophagus, the disconnect becomes tactile, undeniable. The conventional toolkit assigned to these builders, copper chisels and stone hammers, is woefully inadequate for such work. Copper is softer than granite. It would blunt almost immediately, making the precise shaping of vast, flat plains a logistical impossibility. Dolerite stone balls could pound and abrade over centuries, but they cannot explain the geometric perfection, the clean internal corners, or the consistent parallel tool marks that look less like hand chiseling and more like the result of a guided blade. This gap between the artifact and the accepted method forces alternative theories into the light. Could they have used lost diamond-tipped tools, harnessing the hardest natural substance to slice through rock like butter? Perhaps they possessed advanced abrasives, a slurry of crushed quartz or corundum, applied with mechanical saws to achieve those eerily straight cuts. More speculative ideas point to thermal or sonic techniques, using controlled heat to spall rock or specific sound frequencies to resonate stone into submission. The physical evidence on the stones themselves often fuels these questions. In Egypt, we find drill cores in granite that show a consistent, deep spiral groove, suggesting a drill bit that fed into the stone with a steady, mechanical pressure unlike any hand-powered tool. At Puma Punku, the razor-sharp 90-degree angles and identical repeating patterns look less carved and more stamped or milled. This conundrum does more than puzzle us, it forces a fundamental reconsideration. Either these cultures possessed a technological sophistication we have consistently underestimated, a mastery of materials and mechanics that has left no trace in the archaeological record beyond its stunning products, or we are seeing the echoes of knowledge transferred from a much older, more advanced source, a precursor civilization whose tools and techniques were adopted, used, and then lost to time. The cut stone is the most personal evidence we have, the direct interface between the ancient artisan's intent and the unyielding material. Its silent, perfect surface asks us the most direct question of all. If this looks, feels, and measures like precision engineering, why do we insist the engineers were primitive? These scattered fingerprints begin to form a startling picture when we step back. Individually, each site is a breathtaking anomaly, but viewed as a collective, they reveal a set of shared blueprints, a common architectural language whispered across continents and millennia. The first and most obvious pattern is a relentless focus on permanence. These builders were not thinking in decades, but in geological time. They selected the hardest stones, granite, basalt, andesite, and engineered them to withstand not just weather, but the very tremors of the earth itself. The polygonal walls of Sacsayhuamán, the interlocking foundations of Baalbek, the submerged platforms of Yonaguni, all share this single, silent command: endure. This was not mere construction, it was an act of defiance against entropy, a declaration that their message, whatever it was, must outlast empires, languages, and even the shifting of coastlines. A second, profound pattern emerges from the alignments, from the solstice markers at Carnac to the cardinal precision of the Great Pyramid. From the solar chariot of Konark to the celestial corridors of the Mayans not yet discussed, these structures are saturated with astronomical intelligence. They are not just placed on the landscape, they are calibrated to it, locked into the cycles of the sun, moon, and stars. This points to a unified understanding, a global recognition that humanity's place was within a cosmic order. The geometry embedded within them, from the golden ratios in Giza to the perfect spheres of Costa Rica, further reveals a grasp of mathematical principles that we once believed were discovered much later. This knowledge appears not as a gradual, stumbling progression, but as a fully formed understanding, applied with confidence from the very beginning of monumental building. Perhaps the most haunting pattern, however, is one of rupture. So many of these places carry the scars of an abrupt and violent end. Puma Punku lies in explosive ruin, its precision-engineered blocks tossed like gravel. The Osireion is purposefully flooded, a sunken memory. The Bimini Road rests beneath the waves, and Göbekli Tepe was deliberately and carefully buried. Sites are found submerged, shattered, or simply abandoned at the peak of their complexity. This recurring theme of cataclysm or deliberate concealment suggests these pockets of advanced knowledge were not simply forgotten. They were often interrupted, perhaps by natural disasters of unimaginable scale, by climatic shifts that drowned coastlines, or by social collapses that severed the chain of transmission. The knowledge itself seems fragile, a high watermark that later receded. When we synthesize these patterns, a new possibility comes into focus, one that transcends the simple debate between primitive genius and alien intervention. The evidence points toward a forgotten epoch in the human story. Imagine a deep chapter of prehistory, a time when certain cultures, perhaps through long observation and shared innovation, achieved a profound synthesis. They understood the secrets of stone, the mathematics of the heavens, and the engineering of seismic forces. This was not a global, unified civilization in the modern sense, but a widespread stratum of sophisticated understanding, a common technological and spiritual foundation that different cultures accessed and expressed in their own unique ways. Then something happened, a combination of environmental upheaval, perhaps the dramatic sea level rises at the end of the last ice age, and the inherent fragility of concentrated knowledge in a pre-digital age led to a great forgetting. The core principles survived in fragments, carried by scattered survivors or preserved in myth, but the full, systematic mastery was lost. The 30 structures we have explored, then, are not random miracles. They are the enduring echoes of that lost epoch, the last, most resilient syllables of a language we are still struggling to reconstruct. They are not proof of visitors from the stars, but monuments to the forgotten heights of our own ancestral potential, a silent challenge from our past asking us to remember what we are truly capable of. From the submerged platforms of Japan to the cyclopean walls of Lebanon, these 30 structures form a chorus of silent questions. Their combined weight, their shared precision, and their global distribution are not isolated curiosities, but a collective phenomenon that gently pressures the edges of our accepted history. They ask us to consider not just the how, but the very timeline of human achievement. Was the path of progress a steady, upward climb, or might it resemble a series of peaks and valleys, with some summits of knowledge reached, lost, and then forgotten, only to be glimpsed again millennia later in these enduring stones? This journey reveals less about aliens or magic, and more about the stunning, often underestimated potential of human communities united by a shared vision. The true wonder may not be that a single culture built something impossible, but that so many, across such vast divides of time and space, felt the same profound drive to translate their deepest beliefs into mountains of permanent stone. They chose the most difficult materials and the most ambitious scales not because it was easy, but because it was meaningful. In their quest for permanence, they left us a legacy of puzzles that continue to inspire awe and investigation. Whether the solutions involve ingenious applications of simple tools, a lost stratum of sophisticated physics, or a combination we have yet to conceive, these megaliths serve a vital purpose in the present. They are catalysts for curiosity, compelling us to look closer, to question deeper, and to remain humble before the accomplishments of those who came before. The resistance to new ideas in history is a natural human tendency, a desire for a stable, understandable narrative. Yet these stones, in their quiet, monumental way, insist that the story is richer, more complex, and far more interesting than any single textbook could contain. They remind us that every answer we uncover simply leads to better questions, and that the excavation of our past is an adventure that will never truly be complete. This journey through stone and time is only the beginning of a much larger conversation. If these glimpses into humanity's forgotten potential have sparked your curiosity, we invite you to join us in going deeper. Consider subscribing to this channel for more explorations that challenge the edges of history, science, and our understanding of what came before. We are building a community of the curious, and your perspective is a vital part of it. Down in the comments, we would love to hear your voice. Which of these 30 structures leaves you with the most profound sense of wonder? Is it the surgical precision of Puma Punku, the impossible weight of Baalbek, or the ancient timeline of Göbekli Tepe that captures your imagination? What theories about our past feel most compelling as you try to connect these global dots? Your insights and questions help guide our future journeys. Ultimately, these silent monuments offer a powerful reminder. History is not a closed book handed down to us, complete and answered. It is an open field of discovery, a dynamic puzzle where every new finding can rearrange the pieces we thought we knew. The greatest gift we can give to our ancestors and to ourselves is a willingness to look at the evidence with fresh eyes and an open mind. So keep questioning, keep exploring, and carry with you the quiet certainty that the most astonishing chapters of our shared story may still be waiting patiently to be read.